namin yung mga information na yun. So, malalaman sir namin na, ganito pala nangyayari, ganito pala nangyayari. So, talagang kailangan is about time, sir, na kailangan na natin buksan ang mata ng kapwa natin Pilipino. Para talaga, sir, head-on, kailangan i-address na natin itong issue ng corruption na nangyayari po. I never mentioned, sir, na the corruption happened during the time of President Duterte. Hindi ko yan. Kaya tumaas yung sobrang taas po natin ng pagtaas ng ating national debt was because of the borrowing na ginawa ko natin to address COVID-19. But during the previous years po yan, talagang nakita na po namin. I came from the Philippine National Police. I was charged for rebellion in 2006 because, we were jailed. Nakita na po namin yung mga anomalya. Kaya sabi ko natin, siguro it's about time po na talagang i-address na po natin.
Sige, Mayor Eunice and Mayor Agay, sa inyo pong pananaw, gaano kahalaga itong ginagawa ninyo?
Sa akin po, Sir Sonny, I think napapansin po kasi natin, it's more or less yung mga people's organizations, CSOs, they're always the ones advocating for good governance. Pero actually, the accountability and the prime mover should also be, or at the forefront, should be the local governments. Who else would be the best leader there kung hindi yung mayor or the local chief executives? So I think that this movement is very important. That's why we want also to expand. We want also to be known. Kasi alam ko po, marami pong mga mayor sa maliliit na bayan. Gusto po nila talaga ang good governance. Kaya lang minsan hindi sila napapansin, walang opportunity for them to learn what good governance is, and the mechanisms and institutions do not support it. Pero pag meron pong movement like this one, and we're very proud to say that idol po namin si Mayor Benjie, kasi he's very vocal about this, at kami po ay namomotivate and inspired because of his leadership and the other conveners also for M4GG. Kami po ay parang we want to rally behind this because we have to be the leaders here also. Hindi lang po kami service delivery, but we also have to be advocates for good governance.
Mayor Agay.
And thank you, Sir Sonny. Especially for me as a first-term mayor na bago lang. Napakahalaga na may ganitong klaseng kilusan na marami kang makikilala na mga leaders sa iba't ibang bayan who believe in your cause. Naniwala ka sa good governance. And yung good governance naman po, Sir Sonny, is not just about battling corruption, but that's a very, very huge part of it. But sometimes po, the resources of the national budget, ang dami po kasing leaks because of inefficiencies, lack of planning, yung pagiging integrated. We have all these beautiful, beautiful plans from NEDA, ambition natin. Napakaganda po talaga. But mahirap po siyang ibaba, i-implement. Kasi hindi din ganun ka-capacitated yung ground level from the barangay up or even kami mismo from the mayors. So it's important for us to establish links, to conduct learning sessions, to be equipped so that yung ibibigay naming mga plano na gusto naming mapondohan, maparating po namin sa national government. At the same time, the vision of our administration, we will be able to implement it as it should be mula po sa ground. So napaka-importante po para
Salamat
sa...
po. Just a quick follow-up. Maalala po natin, a few years ago, yung ating Supreme Court ay nag-promulgate ng isang landmark decision which is now called the Mandanas-Garcia ruling. Ang epekto po nun, lumaki ang share ng local governments of the revenues collected by the government. Because according to the Supreme Court, very limited yung dating application, no? Kaya in-expand. And the national government had to ask for a 3-year period. Hindi kagad ito na-implement dahil hindi daw kaya ng resources. No? So, baka po pwede tayong mag-comment doon sa grant of bigger share of revenues and how this affects the autonomy and effectiveness of local governments.
It was a very welcome development po, Sir Sonny. Nagkaroon po ng ganong ruling. Kaya lang kung iba yung implementasyon. While it is true na we are allotted, the entire local government is allotted 40% of the national tax allocation, Hindi lang po yung kinokolekta ng BIR, kundi lahat po ng income ng national government. 40%. Maganda po sana, no? Kaya lang kung titignan nyo, ano yung totoong nangyayari? For example, ito, nagkaroon kami ng computation na ginawa. And based doon sa computation na ginawa namin with consultants that are being utilized by several senators and congressmen as well, lumalabas po na ang share lang po pala na natatanggap namin. Nandun lang po pala kami. Kasi for example, yung 2021 na budget. Kasi 2 years away. 2021, assuming po na total collection is around 3 trillion, at natatanggap lang po ng local government is a total of about 700 plus billion to almost 800 billion. We're just getting about 26% of the share. Hindi po talaga yung 40%. Kaya nalulungkot po kami. Na for example, ito, kung titignan nyo yung budget ng 2023, 800 billion lang po ang pinagati-hatihan ng local government. About 1,400 na municipalities, 147 na cities, iba pa ho yung government, provincial government. 800 billion, but you look at the budget of DPWH, that's more than 1 trillion. Maski palalabasin ho nila na 890 lang yung program, pero meron pa ho 188 billion pa ho na ang program eh. So bakit ganun ho? Parang hindi siya equitable. You know? Unequitable nga ho, yun ang term namin eh, unequitable.
To other mayors?
Napaka-welcome po talaga kasi yun naman dapat yung tamang interpretation para po sa akin. Pero ang nangyayari po kasi nga, dinedevolve yung functions, pero ang pondo ay hindi po din talaga totoong nade-devolve. Dumadami yung kaakibat na responsibilidad na ibinibigay sa LGU, which we welcome, but it also needs the support ng pagdating po sa funds. At napakahirap po, especially for us because we are the budget na pinababa po sa amin ay affected sa very, very low collection because of the pandemic. So marami po sa amin hindi ready, mga iba-iba pong mga municipalities. At sa laki po ng bureaucracia ng national government na may central office, may regional office, and there are people na nandyan na matagal na nagtatrabaho. How? Ayaw naman din namin silang mawalan ng trabaho. How can we expect? So I know that it will really take some time. But I hope na ganun po ang mangyari, na talagang mababa po sa mga, at ma-realize natin yung talagang true local autonomy sa mga LGUs.
Mayor Eunice, yung sa inyo kasi, no, Samar is historically known to be among the poorest regions. No? So siguro damang-daman ninyo yan sa inyong LGU. Okay, explica lang po ang epekto sa inyo nitong pinag-uusapan natin.
Opo, Sir Sonny, I agree with Mayor Agay when she said na na-devolve yung functions but the resources is still inadequate. Yun po talaga yung masasabi ko. Like for example, sa dami po ng mga sa transition plans, ang dami po nilang kailangan should have to be already with the functions of the local governments now. Pero po, unang-una, yung resources pala, human resources, the capacity of the people attending to these specific functions na dinevolve nila, napakahirap po. If the mayor won't look at it in a more holistic na pagtingin mo sa issue, isipin mo lang, yeah, I have a 5 million to 10 million increase in my NTA. Pero, paano mo i-address yung issues that you have to already be the agency responsible for irrigation? How are your people, are they capacitated to address this? How many engineers do you have in your municipality? So kami po sa local government, dama po namin, lalo na po yung mga marginalized. I would have to say this po, may mga marginalized na LGUs. Kaya I agree with Mayor Benjie that it's really inequitable. The rich, highly urbanized cities receive more. But yung services naman nila have already been established, they have already system, the networks, and even the people there are rich, no? Compared sa mga katulad ng mga bayan namin. So we look at this as an opportunity that we can also increase our capacity sa local government. That takes a mayor to lead in that aspect, no? So kami ngayon, we're HR pa lang, isa na yan sa problema namin. Addressing also the devolved functions, problema pa rin po namin yan. So, we look at the national government giving us the guidance, especially the Department of the Interior and Local Government, so that maging a bit more hindi burdensome po ang resulta ng Mandanas, effects ng Mandanas ruling po. So we hope to be able to do our functions naman, yung trabaho namin sa local government.
Sir Sonny, can I just...
Sige po, Clear Benjie.
Sir, one of the issues that we face when we were coming up with our DTP, yung Devolution Transition Plan, kasi yun po yung ni-require kagad sa pan eh. So pinapagawa na ho kagad kami. Sabi namin, gumagawa kami, pero ano ba yung guidance sa department? Ano ba talaga yung i-devolve nila sa amin? So ang nangyari sir, it was a chicken and egg na issue. Sino ba mauuna? Pero sabi sir sa amin, kailangan na rin namin submit. So gumawa sir kami ng tentative sir na DTP, only to find out na sabi ng department, hindi, ito yung i-devolve namin. So kumbaga sir, yung synchronization, kumbaga sa nawala. So ito ngayon, mabuti na lang sir, nag-decide sir sa Presidente na extend na lang po.
There is this saying that the whole is only as strong as its parts. The Philippines is comprised of 82 provinces, 94 municipalities, 145 cities. And all of these that I mentioned, including 42,000 plus barangays, these are the parts of the country. So if we are able to strengthen the parts, even just one half of the entire local government population, then the country will be up, will be much improved. And the mayors comprise the biggest number of executives, 1,495 municipalities and 145 cities. My question, and I say this and I ask this with all due respect, is how can we ensure that this vision of good governance will really be achieved? At the end of the day, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. How will this movement be able to make sure that corruption is reduced in the local government level? How will this movement improve economic prosperity in each local territory? How will this movement achieve ecological balance? How will this movement achieve full employment? How will this movement improve health and safety? How will this movement achieve providing comfort and convenience to the inhabitants? All of this I mentioned are under Section 16 of the Local Government Code. In short, good governance, when you take a look at it, must achieve all of these objectives or tasks that the local governments must ensure and support. That is how it is worded under Section 16. Improve and support, among other things, improve public morals, promote health and safety, ecological balance, economic prosperity, full employment, and the catch-all phrase, including comfort and convenience to all the inhabitants. At the end of the day, that is how That's the checklist that one has to look at whether good governance is really being achieved, including corruption reduction, mitigation. So maybe I should ask the former executive director of the local government academy, because if we ask first the mayors, baka sabihin ng mga tao, hindi, self-serving yan eh. We want to see scorecard at the end of that term, di ba?
I think, sir, we have been through this before. Many of the questions we have talked about have been discussed for the longest time. 1992, exactly the same questions, capacities. 1992, autonomy. 30 or more than 50 years later, 30 years later, we are still asking the same questions. But still, as we go further, we started the discussion with about crisis. And sir, I mean, come on, 1970s, we already had the debt crisis. Okay? And the Philippines is in a state of crisis in many of these parts. And ilalanding po sa education, for instance. If you read among others, no? If you read the EDCOM, there's an EDCOM right now going on. There was also an EDCOM mission in 1992. If you read chapter 1 of EDCOM 1992, it's like describing EDCOM today. It's like describing the state of education. My point, I think we should look at it from a broad historical basis. But number two, what is the point of intervention? Should we change the laws? You know, one very, very important thing is really what we have today. It's really leadership. Leadership does matter. And that's why when we have movements like this, again, this is not new. Because over the past years, we've had so many movements. We've seen that, no? And of course, is the Mayors for Good Governance just another movement? I hope not. But certainly, because of nature, very young, great leaders, we put hope into this. So I think, sir, we have to look at it from a broad historical crisis and going back to the state of the nation of the president. He recently said, the state of the nation is fine. Yes, the state of the nation is fine. And I'd like to end it by saying, we could be better. We could be much better. Look at us vis-a-vis Thailand. Look at us vis-a-vis Indonesia. In the region, we used to be living in the region. The whole question that bothers many of us is, what happened to us? Okay, ang dami natin magagandang batas. Saan ba yung point of reform? Kaya nga po, in response to your question, Secretary Lina, is really within the context of good leaders. Leadership does matter. And I think you talk about integrity, and of course the elephant in the room, we talk about corruption, you know. And I think one very great thing about the movement is really their emphasis on good governance in general and ethical leadership in particular. And I think there's really hope here, sir. So the state of the nation is sound, but we could be much, much better. Because, like I said, if you look at it from a historical perspective, you look at it from a global perspective, the Philippines is okay, but we could be much, much better.
Oh, okay. How does the movement intend to attack the problem of corruption? What are the concrete programs and projects or principles and policies that will govern or guide the mayors? How do we ensure that this movement will really produce result? I'm asking this question not because I don't believe in this initiative. I'm very happy, in fact, I told Mayor Benjie, that I'm very happy that there is this movement. And that's why we hope and pray that this movement will succeed, because the success of this movement will be the success of the entire country. And therefore, we are hopeful that at the end of the day, before bago dumating ang takip silim sa aming buhay, ay makakita naman ang liwanag dito sa ating inang bayan, na nagwawagayway ang bandila ng katapatan sa paglilingkod, ang kalinisan sa paglilingkod, ang kaunlaran ay talagang natatamasa ng bawat isa. Hindi na natin ikahihiya ang ating mga pagkukulang sapagkat kinukumpara tayo sa ibang bansa na kulelat sa atin in the 50s and 60s. Pero ngayon, nagtataka sila, bakit baliktad na nangyari sa atin. So, we wish you the best. But we want to hear from the leaders of the movement, paano ba, in one decade, can we reduce corruption by X percentage?
Pwede lang mabigyan ng madagdagan yung context, ano? Kasi meron another strand of government thought and that is coming from an agency also mandated by law. I refer to the Anti-Red Tape Authority. And in dialogue with the business sector, which is one of the more important stakeholders of our local governments, parati pong iginigiit yung issue ng ease of doing business, which they say is a reflector of the degree of no corruption or corruption. And si Presidente mismo nag-issue pa ng kautusan, executive order, stopping the charging of pass-through fees. Kasi daw ito ay, well, while it is a source of revenue that's needed by the local governments, maaaring nakakadagdag din dun sa hindrance, no, sa efficiency of business. So baka po pwedeng i-address nyo na rin yung context na gano'n. The three of you may answer in any order.
Hingi sana ako ng call a friend kay Sir. Inumpisa na ako niya about leadership. But nonetheless, let me just share with you, sir, yung my personal insights po namin. That was a great question, Sir Joey, and it requires a great answer. Unfortunately, I may not be able to satisfy maybe a great answer. But yung M4GG, ang direction po niyan is parallel. Kailangan namin ng the organization known as the Senator Joey Lina, the local corporate foundation. Marami pa. Even other CSOs na gustong tumulong sa amin. They're getting in touch with us, telling us probably these are some of the approaches that we need to do. And we're very open. In fact, nagkaroon din kami ng dialogue with former Secretary Mel Sarmiento on Galing-Po. And we get a lot of ideas. Sir Alex is one of those personalities also are giving us ideas on how to empower our local chief executives and our especially our youth, young leaders, katulad ng mga my fellow mayors are present here today. So, right now we are here to assimilate, gather more ideas, getting a lot of different perspectives from different people, how we can move forward. Ang ginawa ko namin ngayon is ang framework ko namin ngayon in pursuing this movement is, if you remember in the past, we tried to change the attitude, the behavior of our national leaders. But we failed. Marami yung value formation program ko we failed. Because at the end of the day, sino bang bubuto sa kanila? Nasa baba. So ngayon, naisip po namin, bakit hindi tayo mag-umpisa sa baba? So, sectoral muna tayo, gradual. Huwag tayo gumawa ng big bang muna. Gradual. So we started with M4GG. Bakit M4GG? Bakit mayors? Because we want it to be leadership driven. We want that the change should start from the leaders themselves. And from there, sir, we will start help create movements, youth, professionals, doctors, judges, farmers, fishermen, transport sector, until we create that critical mass. It will not happen during our lifetime. I doubt it will happen during our lifetime. Pero I keep on saying, Rome was not built in one day. Great Rome was never built in one day. Never became great in one day. Someone started it. Someone somewhere, someone started it. This time, we're starting it with the help of all our partners from the private sector who can continue to be silent about it. Pero sila may tumutulong sa amin. And one of our sparks are the young people who are behind us. Very young people na may estudyante pa ako iba eh. Or actually, our main force na nasa likod ho namin. Silent lang ho sila. At sila po yung aming inspiration. And they're believing in us So, kung may tayo ho namin ito, dumami o nagdumami, and create that critical mass, then our next move is to create an overarching movement. We might call it F4GG, Filipinos for Good Governance. And hopefully po, ito na po yung critical mass that now would demand good governance from our political leaders. So basically po, yun ang framework po namin. But as I've said, it's easier said than done.
South Korea was able to achieve a growth level in 2 decades. In 2 decades. Some countries, 15 years. Some countries, 3 decades. But as I said earlier, the whole is only as strong as its parts. And the leaders in the local government level are mostly coming from the ranks of the city and the municipal mayors. Of course, you have governors there. But at the end of the day, ang mas grassroots, ang nakaharap sa tao, are the mayors. The mayors are the leaders. And leaders make the difference. So, if one is to chart the direction of the leaders of the local governments, particularly the mayors, will play a very big role. Okay? Particularly, an example nga, yung ease of doing business. And, dalawa yun eh. The second one is efficiency in the delivery of government services. Dalawa yung function ng ARTA. Having money is one thing, but spending the money is another. In year 1997, the Senate cut the IRA pa noong araw, by 30 billion. By 30 billion. I will not mention the senator. I was a governor, but I know the senator. I was the president of Bulacan. Mayor Benjie, we announced a 5-day work stoppage. If the Senate will not withdraw that move. And we had a march along elliptical circle. The governors and the mayors. This was 1997. Do you see yourselves doing the same thing just to prove your point that the local governments really play a big role, and if they do not give the funds that are due you, then you really have to make a big, significant move. Otherwise, Congress will not listen. The executive will not listen. That is as clear as day. Why? Because sa Kongreso, gusto nila, malaking hawak din nila sa national budget at the expense of local governments. They are suitors, ladies, the voters. So the congressman, they want to bring the bacon also. But that part of the bacon really belongs to the local government. So how will you now press the issue? Really get the funds that are due you? By the way, Executive Order 138 was already suspended. Right? It's suspended. Huh? 138. The executive order, the devolution.
Extended.
There will be another one.
Yeah, but it is not being supposed to be. The implementation is stopped. But I heard, sa health services, tuloy-tuloy daw na binibigay uli ang meaning, dinidevolve pa rin yung ibang serbisyo. pinapaako na sa local government. That's a violation of the suspension of Executive Order 138. But anyway, going back to my original point, that's what we did. Umatras ang si President Erap called me and said, Governor, tigil nyo na yung inyong protesta. Ano? And then nagtawagan yung iba kong kaibigang senador. Tama na, Joey, bahala na kami dito. Bahala na.
You're giving us a very good idea.
Why not? That's my question is why not? I mean, I think you're so right about, okay, in our discussions here, one, status quo is unacceptable. Historically, we're going through this all the time and we have a lot of missed opportunities, but a lot of possible opportunities, and we're talking about. But when we try to bring about reform, of course, let's change laws, let's change laws, constitution, let's change local government code, but it's not enough to change laws. We have to have leaders, that's what we have here. But equally important, as you point out, sir, we have to have this attitude. Parang yung metanoia ba? Change within ourselves. But the most important thing, as Senator Lina mentioned, we as a people should get involved. We cannot leave the business of governance to government alone. And it's great that you're now talking about working with civil society, the active, etc. I must shut up, sir, but it's very exciting.
Kasi nung kami ni Professor Dr. Alex ay estudyante sa UP, isa lang ang alam naming language demo. Lamang kami ng kalsada noon. Sinasabi nila, hindi na daw kailangan ngayon. May social media naman. Siguro, we could ask the mayors dahil malapit sila sa pulso ng mga taong bayan. Ano sa nakikita nyo ang pinaka-epektibong engagement diyan sa sitwasyon ngayon? That we really have to give a loud wake-up call to those that should hear it. Baka po meron kayong, without telegraphing your moves, paunawa lang sa mga tao. Dahil doon din, nung kami nagde-demonstration ni Professor Alex, tinitignan namin kung suportado mo kami ng mga tao. Kasi malungkot po yung pupunta ka sa kalsada, magsisigaw ka ron, pwede kang hulihin, pwede kang gawa ng hindi mabuti. Importante kasi yung suporta ng tao. So baka meron din kayong pulso ng bayan dahil kayo yung pinakamalapit sa kanila.
Thank you, sir. Maraming salamat. Una, sir, yung much as we want the F4GG to become a potent force, we're not yet. In fact, sir, we just represent 10% of the total local chief executive, especially among the mayors, both city and municipalities. 10% lang, sir, kami. But we can link up with LCP, we can link up with LMP, we can link up with ULAT, we can link up with the other vice governors. Ang dami yung mga well-established na organization or association among the local chief executives, councilors, pwede ko. And pwede ko kami maging catalyst. Ang F4GG po kasi is a movement. And marami pa ho kami kayang dapat gawin. Nag-uumpisa pa lang ho kami, but unti-unti ho, nagkakaroon na rin ho kami na influence. For example, yung latest na LCP board meeting, yung League of Cities board meeting, we presented to them yung M4GG. We had an argument and discussion. At the end of the day, yung entire board po ng League of Cities passed a resolution supporting yung M4GG. So that's a very good development. Now, our next move now is to work closely with the League of Municipalities. No? Sila ho, member ho sila ng League of Municipalities. And hopefully, unti-unti, gusto lang ho namin muna yung M4GG to be at the sideline ho muna. Masyadong halatang labas na gano'n. Kasi may respeto naman ho kami doon sa ibang mga association pa ho ng mga ibang local chief executive.
I will not be surprised, Mayor Benjie, that all the governors, all the mayors, even barangay captain, will sign that manifesto for good governance. I will not be surprised because no one wants to be left out. Because that's a good banner. I mean, I'm under the banner of that. But how do we ensure that at the end of the day, your objective will really be achieved? That there will really be good governance among the mayors? Are there criteria or guide to determine whether one city or one municipality is really under good governance? Meron bang ganon? May direction na ganon? Parang checklist? For example, value for money. A city may be very rich, and I don't want to mention a city that is very rich. But value for money, with the money of the people, given that city, in terms of taxes, fees, including real property tax, ang accomplishment naman napakaliit as compared to the resources available. Meron namang maliit na municipality, ang accomplishment naman in terms of service to the people, ang laki-laki. So, meron mang ganun, value for money, as one criterion to determine whether there is good governance in that municipality or city.
I'm sure itong ating mga kasamang mayor dito, mayroong magagandang halimbawa that they would share. Mayor Eunice?
I think that is a good criteria na dapat meron for anyone who's practicing good governance sa mga bayan nila or cities. But I think for N4GG, we're still in that part or a stage that we're crafting, developing, consolidating all the ideas. So I thank the good senator for sharing that to us. So may mga ideas na po kami with Sir Alex and Sir Sonny. But I think po, ako po as experience ko po, when I became mayor in 2016, of course, I inherited also a local government that's quite yet also striving to practice these things. Kasi ang inefficiency naman is not just a problem of yung corruption or anything, but a lot of these things are factors. Like for example, systems. Mahirap pa nun, wala pa kaming computers na madami, we're not yet into technology. The institution or the systems do not support that. So I think an enabling environment that supports good governance is very important so that we put in a structure na kahit malayong bayan ka, nakikita na may good governance kayo. But I am very grateful also that towards my last term now as mayor in Paranas, na-establish na po yun because I was a believer that systems have to be put in place. So, for example, the ease of doing business. Ngayon nakalink na po kami to banks that are actually, you can pay your business permits there already. So sa bayan na katulad namin na malayo, parang hindi yan i-expect. While other cities are moving towards smart cities, kami, ang struggle namin, communication, infrastructure, basic pa rin. So we're in that stages, no? But I think that when a mayor decides to do this, that's why I agree sa M4GG na you own it. You have a problem, you see that, you want a solution, but you have to be there to do these things. The ones that are difficult to do. Kasi ang problema ng mayor, kailangan pa niyang mamulitika. Kailangan pa niyang to look good to the people while doing all these things, no? Kailangan niyang mag-attend ng birthdays, ng mga fiesta, ng mga etc. So you're doubling a lot of work that requires your presence, but then again, you're challenged to improve your system. But then, babalik ka sa tanong, may capacity din ba yung mga tao ko? So you start where you are, which is what also M4GG is doing. Kami, we might be few now, but in the few years, madadami din siguro. Kasi gusto rin naman talaga ng mayors ng good governance. Yung mga criteria can be crafted or developed. But what I can tell you is, noong 2019, naka-SGLG na kami. 2022, we also passed. 2021, wala pang, kasi pandemic. And then 2023, we're also in the national validation. The simple criteria set up in the Seal of Good Local Governance, Seal of Good Financial Housekeeping,
the audits for child-friendly local governments, your commission on audit reports that you try to accomplish or comply, ito po lahat ay pwedeng gawin. And they are realizable, they're doable in the level of the municipalities or cities, but it takes a really brave soul for a mayor or a province or anyone to do these things. So I go back to say that it's leadership, it's character, it's your mission, how you look at your public service mission. Yun po yung sa tingin ko po ang crucial.
Sa amin naman po, na-share ko na po ito kasama no, we would do kasi kahit na via Zoom, learning sessions, parang we discuss, maybe crafting a scorecard. Yesterday, I was also just with Secretary Mel Sarmiento is helping us develop also a scorecard so that we can really make good plans for our municipality. No? Marami po kasi sa atin, no? Dati po, Senator, lagi po ito sinasabi ng aking ama na isa rin pong lingkod bayan. Sabi niya, ang Pilipino, sinasabi lang nila na gusto nila ng matino. Gusto nila ng matino. Pero medyo lang daw. Medyo lang matino. Pero hindi dahil sa hindi nila gusto ang isang mahusay na leader. No? SJLG, napakalaking bagay po para sa amin yan. Kami rin for national validation. Kasi nga po yung matino at mahusay na pamamahala. Hindi dahil sa gusto nila ng corrupt. Pero dahil hindi nila naiintindihan kung ano talaga ang trabaho ng isang mayor, ng vice mayor. I'm sure you've all grappled na discuss na po yan since time immemorial na hindi alam ng Pilipino. Kasi ang number one na quality na lagi nilang hinahanap sa isang leader, yung sabi nila, madaling lapitan. Hashtag, mahirap hanapin. Charot, hindi po. Pero kasi yun ang gusto ng Pilipino. At naniniwala sila na binoto kita kasi sabi mo, tutulungan mo ako, iaahon mo ako sa hirap. Pag-aaralin mo ang aking anak. Don't think of it in terms of structural investments. Improve education, improve the rural health units, establish a health network. See it as something very personal. Na pag ako pumunta sa'yo, humingi ako, wala akong makain, Mayor. Gusto nila, aabutan mo sila. Hindi dahil sa gusto kanilang maging corrupt. Yun ang intindi nila na trabaho mo. At ganoon din ang tingin nila sa mga vice mayor na dapat ay nag-legislate. Sa amin po, the local level, no, ang mga konsehal, sila gumagawa ng batas to enable that kind of infrastructure. But what they can see, importante po natin ay tutulungan mo ako. And all these leaders, they feel pressured. They feel pressured na kailangan may ibigay and it feeds into At marami po sa mga leaders natin, ang tingin nila, hindi naman ako corrupt kasi ibinigay ko yan sa tao. Hindi yan napunta sa akin. Kung ganun po ang laging naiisip eh. At lahat iniisip, nagkakaroon siya eh. Idat ako na din. Hindi naman to para sa akin. Ibibigay ko rin to sa taong bayan. Hindi to mapupunta sa akin. At patuloy po tayo na at hanggang, kaya, talagang cycle, mapahirap po talaga kasi culture po talaga yun, It's very difficult. Kaya, maganda po yung ganitong movement. Kasi kami, halimbawa ko bilang isang bagong leader, punong bayan, I see the examples na, Mayor Benjie. Pwede naman pala. Diba? Good example. Mayor Vico Soto. Pwede pala. Mayor Joy. Pwede naman pala. At ang hope mo na mapakita mo sa taong bayan na bumabaha po ng good services, na talaga yung sinasabi niyo po na ecological balance, access to health, good nutrition, structural. Nakikita nila, pag pumunta ako sa barangay, eto kasi nakaset up eh. At mula pa lang doon, nababawasan po at isa-isa kami sa mga leaders na we will not feel this burden. Kasi ang politiko talagang, di ba, gusto niyan maging loved. Di ba? Popular. Di ba? Di na nga namin alam, lahat na ng TikTok gagawin na namin. Di ba? Just to communicate our ideas. At mapalitan po yung ganong sistema. Pero napakahirap po eh. Napakahirap. Ako po personally, I enjoy kasal sabi nila, di daw pang trapo daw po yun. Kasal, KBL. Pero sa akin po, It's the way that you can see and engage with the community. Malaking bagay po sa akin. May nakita po akong quote nakalimutan ko na lang po kung sino po yung nagsabi. Pero she's an Indian author and philanthropist. And sabi niya, we must not be mere consumers of good governance. We must be participants. We must be co-creators of it. And so this movement, and as mentioned by Mayor Benjie, now we really have to engage the communities, not just the NGOs, but the voters themselves. But not in a self-righteous way, but to make them understand what our responsibilities are as leaders. Sa hirap po ng buhay, napakahirap po na sabihin na hindi ka lalapit. Kahit na anong opisina po ng kahit sinong punong bayan o punong lalawigan, mahaba po ang pila. Pumunta ka sa nakaabang ang tao sa simbahan dahil magsisimba ka doon, alam nila, at lalapit sila. Ganun po kahirap. So we really have to build a trust, tackle intergenerational poverty, and make them feel, like lahat din kami na maging members po ng Movement for Good Governance, that good governance is good politics. Na dumadami ang serbisyo, hindi kailangan na nalalapit ka o hindi na kailangan na tinulungan ako ni Mayor. Pero kasi dahil maganda po ang pagpapalakad sa So sana, maabutan po namin. Sana po yung sabi ni Mayor Benjie, wag naman, not in our lifetime. No, let's not lose hope that maybe we can achieve it through this lifetime, through leaders like Mayor Benjie and other members, the conveners po from M4GC.
Mayor Benjie, Mayor Agay, Mayor Eunice, kaming tatlo, si Dean Alex, si Press Secretary Coloma, and myself, kami produkto ng dekada 70. That speaks about our age. Okay. Well, my favorite song is Impossible Dream. Okay.
Baka mag-sample.
Sa concert na lang. All fundraising concert. Can the movement for good governance, wag ng pledge. Wag ng pledge. Kasi delikado pa yun eh. Can you share the dream? A dream that in the next 10 years, from the time you started the movement, that there will be less corruption in local governments. Because we cannot totally, even the most advanced countries have not totally eliminated corruption. But can we dream? And we will dream with you. I volunteer, if you will accept my volunteerism, to help with ideas or even with some concrete programs and projects, including malnutrition, fight against malnutrition. Kasi, Agay, yung sinasabi mo, ang hirap nilang maintindihan yung demokrasya. Mahirap intindihin yung good governance. Kasi nagugutom na. Isa sa dahilan doon, 26% of our people are living below poverty line. It moves from 21 to 26, hanggang doon lang yun eh. Hindi na bumababa, for the last 2 decades. Nandun yung mga malnourished at mahina ng utak, hindi maintindihan ano ba yung demokrasya, ano ba yung good governance, talagang kahit na magdidipa ka na dyan, hindi nila maintindihan kasi kumukulo yung sikmura, yun ang need na kailangan nila. Anyway, napahaba na. Can we dream with you? At least say it. There is a tinge of impatience doon sa mga dekada 70. Kasi hindi naman tayo pre-departure. Pero papalapit na tayo sa takip silim. We responded to the challenges of the time. I'm not defending our generation. Because iba yung problema ang aming hinarap noon. Yung kalayaan at demokrasya ang ating tinatamasa ngayon ay produkto ng aming pakikibakat. Maraming namatay sa amin noong mga panahon yun. Marami nang nawala. Marami hindi nakatapos ng pag-aaral. Marami na antala sa pag-aaral dahil doon. Pero ngayon, may kalayaan, may demokrasya tayo. Pwede ba yung bago dumating ang takip silim sa aming buhay? Ha? Pwede bang sabihin nyo naman, with our help also, hindi naman kami bumibitaw. Pero, tumitingin kami, aba may pag-asa. Ano? That we can dream and reach the unreachable star. Huwag naman yung patay na tayo. Mayor Benjie, pwede ba yun sa vision and mission ng movement ng Mayors for Good Governance, vision and mission, tactical objective, alam mo naman ito, 10 years naman, corruption has been reduced. Economic prosperity, livelihood and training, yung mga walang trabaho, pagbigyan naman ng trabaho. Yung mga illegal activities, logging, etc. Kasama na yung wedding. Kasama na tayo dun. Nilabanan natin yung wedding ng araw, ano? Yung mga indicators na gano'n, in a decade, pwede ba namang mangarap tayo na how to achieve that dream, bahala na tayo. Bahala na kayo. Pero kasama kami. Hindi kami bibitaw. But pwede ba yung marinig namin sa inyo that in the next 10 years, there will be, this part of our dream, these changes in local governance.
Alam niyo, I'm becoming emotional because I've been hearing a lot of bright ideas from you and from Sir Alex. In fact, sir, you opened a lot of opportunities. I'm really glad, sir, na tinanggap, sir, namin yung invitation niyo. Sabi nga ko nila is, who influenced the behavior of any organization? Who influenced the behavior of people? Who influenced the behavior of subordinates? These are the leaders. These are the leaders. And all of us here are leaders. And the only way we will be able to make people believe, to make people follow us, is they see character and government. If we lead by example, then there's no substitute. Kaya ako ngayon, ako na po nag-assure ko sa inyo, nagbibigay po kami ng commitment. Transformation, alam niyo, to be able to reach transformation, or to be able to transform organization, and the country for that matter, is for the leaders to be committed. Second is, leaders should not only be committed, they should be passionate about change and passionate about transformation. Kung magseset na rin lang po tayo ng target, dapat isang target na talaga na big, audacious, hair-raising na. So the challenge for us is the next 10 years, magkaroon tayo ng change, and this will be led by the M4GG, then we are up to the challenge. We're up to the challenge.
Palakpakan natin.
Anyway, malakas ang loob namin. Sir, kasama na namin kayo. Kasama naman namin kayo. Ang maganda rin naman ho dito is, we're also working closely with a big group, again, led by Sir Rex Drilon. And in fact, meron na ho silang binigay din ho sa amin na Dream Philippines. Alam niyo siguro yan, 2040. So marami ho kami nakukuha mga bright ideas na yung M4GG mo mismo has already given its commitment. In fact, we will be having a series of meetings again with another group para ho dito sa sinabi niyo sa amin na let us come up with this big change by 10 years from now, within the next 10 years.
Sir. Very quick. I think that's great, no? But I think we also should be strategic. I mean, I think I've seen in movements before na kung ang dating ay holier than now, mas magaling kami sa inyo. And I think that's the worst thing that could happen because you can't alienate the people. I've seen that. Okay? So, okay, alignment if you may. Sabi ni Sir, the vision. I mean, I always cite Mawasan 2020 of Malaysia. But 1992 said we'll be there, and where are they? They've had a vision. I will align ourselves to our vision. Now we're talking about vision natin 2040. It's only 10 years. And it cut across generations. Nothing could be more different from Aquino to Marcos to Duterte. But ang vision natin. So it's really inclusive. I think strategically, we should be inclusive. Strategically, we should be not self-righteous. And that's my point, sir. I know it's part of it. I mean, but tama yung sabi ni sir, without the vision, with the vision, the nation will fail. I think that's fundamental. But at the same time, as you just said, ma'am, we have to bite the bullet. It's in, leadership does matter. But kailan maglanding, change the laws. Kailan maglanding, reform the local government code. Kailan maglanding, yung ating mandamus kasi, alam na natin yung mandamus kasi decision, lumabas niya. Pero ang isang fundamental problem, napanggit mo, sige nga, ilipat namin lahat siya, tinanong kung kaya ninyo. So it's also the attitude of, so we have to have fundamental changes in structure, but at the same time, leadership. And very important, Sir Magalong, the passion, the integrity, and leadership example. You're very inspiring, sir. But I'll shut up after this. Sir, it's not only our generation, not only their generation. We should think of the next generation. In third generation equity, kailangan isipin natin ang ating we're just borrowing from them. It's a whole multi-generation change. It's very, very idealistic. Sure, we should be idealistic, but kailangan tayo maglanding in the sense that we change fundamental laws. Ease of doing business. I mean, why would we invest in your country if it takes forever to get a business? Work with the barangays. It's in the laws. Problem in this country is we have so many laws. We counted this around. More than 80 laws on anti-corruption. More than 75 laws anti-corruption bodies. But hey, if you look at Transparency International, nandun pa rin tayo sa among not exactly the most so it's not really laws. Change also just comes from within. Change, and there's this movement called Chandler Institute for Governance. They talk about the importance of leadership, but equally important, pointing out the need for the attitude in that change, which I think we see in the M4GG, which hopefully will be F4GG in the future. So thank you, sir.
Sure, can I just add? M4GG cannot do it alone.
Absolutely.
We cannot do it alone. We're just a small component of the entire change process. And I'm really glad po that we're getting a lot of support. We will be collaborating with all, and with national government and the present administration. Kailan ho, hindi ho kami opposition. Hindi ho kami. We are just an advocate. We're a movement. So we will be working closely with the present administration and with all the other national agencies of government, even with our legislators and with all the other local chief executive. Kailangan ho collective effort. So it should be a united front.
There's already someone who wants to ask a question, but let me just take off again from what Mayor Benjie said. And all with due respect, Mayor, you have seen the light. You took the initiative. Okay? Pursue it to its logical conclusion, no matter what. If you have the passion, you have caught the vision. Regardless of other sectors, carry the torch. I'm not saying that you run for this and that, but be the one carrying the torch, even if there are others who are not carrying the torch. At the end of the day, since you have caught the vision, pursue it to its logical conclusion and not just consider yourself as, or the movement as just part of a big aggravation. And that's how I think about it.
Dagdagan ko na rin dahil iumpisa na rin. Sinare ko kay Mayor Agay kanina. Doon po sa pagsulong ng inyong mga aspirasyon, just be determined, persevere, never mind the heckling. Ano ho ibig sabihin? Kasi meron ho naman talaga palaging pupuna, meron palaging tutulit sa, hayaan na po natin yung kasama na yun sa environment. But if you stay focused and determined, ang karanasan po po dyan, having served in government for one complete term of a president, pwede naman pong makagawa ng mabuti. At ang ating po mga kababayan ay mabubuti. Sila ay supportive sa kabutihan. Kaya kung tayo ay magpupursige, maniniwala tayo sa kadakilaan ng ating ginagawa, magtatagumpay po tayo. Huwag natin alalahanin yung mga balakid. Ilang po ang aking masasabi.
Thank you po. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Sir.
Okay, sir.
Di ba tama yung
Yeah, I think
sinabi ko?
sir, you have
Seryoso.
given me a different perspective.
Mayor Benjie is very humble eh. No, I mean it. I really, Mayor Benjie, I mean it. No? Because, siyempre, we want to say, we cannot do it alone. Fine. No? But if there are others who are not going to share carrying the torch, regardless, go ahead. Di ba? Yun lang po ang aking fan. Kasi tuloy ang laban, no matter what.
Tama ko kayo, Sir Joey. Tama ko kayo. And besides, we are the good guys here. We're not the bad guys.
Please identify yourself from the Kapisanan social media broadcaster.
Thank
For
you
the
very
record
much.
lang.
Thank you very much. I am asking a question on behalf of the Kapisanan ng Social Media Broadcasters of the Philippines Incorporated, or KSMPPI, as Secretary General. The group was organized in 2017 with Doc Aragon as our founding chairman, and I'm proud to share that Senator Joey Lina is one of our esteemed members of the Board of Trustees. Mayor Benjie, sir,
Underclass ko kasi.
I
Underclass ko siya.
the upper class, sir. The upper class. My question is, the movement for good mayors for good governance and for GG, like ASMBBI, is an advocate. It has a dream. It has a challenge. And is determined to go against all odds to carry the torch. Sir, we are the group which has an ongoing memorandum of agreement with the with the MTRCP due to their lack of powers to discipline certain personalities. We did it, sir. We filed the criminal charges, and we do almost every week. As a matter of fact, sir, we filed a case against Tony Fowler last week, and yesterday we filed a criminal case against Viva Max, A-listers. Mayors for good governance, we see that we are aligned with our advocacy. The internet is the best thing that happened to the human race. But now, with the proliferation of fake news, nobody acts as watchdog. We are fighting anarchy, moral decay, and corruption as well in the social media. And we walk the talk. Like the mayors for good governance, you walk the talk. We all know that in our setup, we have the executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. We, the fourth estate, the media. And we know, with all due respect to my colleagues in the media profession, there is also corruption. More so in the
Can you shoot the question?
more so in the social media. My question is, sir, we are with you, and we know we are challenged that you want more groups to support you. Our question is, on behalf of the KSMPPI, sir, are you willing to sign a memorandum of agreement between the mayors for good governance and the KSMPPI, sir?
Consider us your strong partner.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Let's give that And they've now, of course, they have been, KSMB has been fighting obscenity in the cyberspace and also in the traditional media. So they're at the forefront, and we are in the forefront because I'm part of the group as well.
Thank you very much,
Okay.
Senator.
All right, thank you. Any other question, please, from our friends from the media? So, 10 years, huh?
Just, sir, sabi ko nga, sir, we set a target to be able to transform, make it audacious, make it hair-raising. We're up to the challenge.
Yeah, tutulong kami. Tutulong kami.
Nandiyan naman, sir, kayo.
Without doubt, we will be there. We will help you because you're fighting a good fight. We will join the fight. So, any other question from members of the media? Sonny, mukhang napigaan na natin lahat yung mga tanong na ay pabato. So, wala nang aban. So we can just say that the movement for the mayors for good governance will exert all efforts to make a difference in the total task of nation building by taking up leadership to a higher level in terms of governance of respective territories. As the saying goes, the whole is only as strong as its parts. So if a city is governed very well and joined by other cities and municipalities, then the result will be a strong nation. Not to mention that we need the cooperation of the national government. Congress sets the policies. But within those policies, the local governments are autonomous in implementing those policies in their respective territories because they have autonomy. There is no absolute autonomy anyway, by the way, but the autonomy is within the confine of the policies passed by the national government through Congress. So, Sonny, if there are no more questions,
Bilang pag-concretize ng suporta natin sa kanila, alam niyo po yung aming pahayagan, Manila Bulletin has been the exponent of Philippine progress since 1900. Kaya kung sana, ma-share ninyo sa amin yung stories of good governance para mapalaganap natin ito sa ating mga mamamayan. We need to tell stories of good governance to inspire our people and to elicit a broader base of followers for this movement. And we are prepared to support you. Bigay nyo lang po yung inyong mga istorya, mga salaysay ng mga magagandang kaganapan sa inyong mga munisipalidad at sa mga local governments para dumagana po ang kilusan.
ay palakpakan natin ang ating, meron tanong.
Good morning, sir. I'm Aldo Santos from Brillantes. I'm just a researcher of a water project. But I'd like to ask lang po, yes, sir. If I may not be able to catch this, has Malacanang reached out to M4GG? And if it did, what did it say to your group? And did it make any positive response to the group?
Wala pa. Kapag pumunta ko sa amin, galing sa Office of the President, wala pa.
Okay, so, has M4GG reached out to Malacanang po?
Hindi pa
About your company?
Wala pa kami initiative. We're still strengthening yung movement. Nandun pa kami sa phase na ini-strengthen namin yung movement. That's why we're conducting workshop, nagkakaroon kami ng series of consultative meetings with different CSOs, different conglomeration.
Thank you, sir.
Alright. Okay, palakpakan natin muli ang si Mayor Benjie, Mayor Agay, and Mayor Eunice. Mabuhay kayo.
Dr. Alex, maraming salamat.
Dr. Alex, thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Mabuhay ka, sir.